Hey guys, what's up? My name is Steven Sanchez. For those who don't know me, I get around. We're gonna be doing some fan art today. Probably some Tmnt, some Batman. Who knows? Oh, how about Deadpool and Tmnt? I like that. That's a lot better. All right, we're gonna jump straight in on that bad boy and lay something out in front of you guys, so that way you guys get a general idea of what I do and how I do it. So with that said, we're gonna jump right on in. Ready? All right, cool. So I'm gonna do something pretty simple here, kind of a dual shot, right? Keeping it tight, keeping it small. Kind of like my bank account. That wasn't funny, especially when bills are due. All right, so I'm gonna jump over here and just kind of give a quick layout. And I like illustrating in a very cartoon fashion because it actually gets the emotion and the feeling of the actual piece out done. It's just super simple, super fast, super fun. I would definitely suggest that you guys try to play around with this next time you start sketching. Or if you're sketching right now and you're watching this video, that'll be perfect. What else we got? So we're gonna jump over here, kind of just get the layout feeling down. That way I know exactly somewhat of what's going down. So I kind of see where I'm going with it now, and I'll be erasing and getting things all set up over here. All right, awesome. There we go. Cool beans, like that. Kind of be like a circle pattern up in the back. And then we can actually get a Tmnt. Now, he uses swords, so I'm probably going to pair him up with Leonardo, because that'll be a nice little fun thing. And, oh, you know what? We got to add the funny. Whenever there's a moment with Deadpool, there's always the funny. So I'm going to bring that in and make sure everything is look happy-go-lucky. So I got an idea. So I'm gonna make it where Donatello. What am I thinking? Leonardo is bothered by and it's kind of hard to figure out the size now, because there's so many different sizes. You have the movie version where they're like 8 feet, and then you have the cartoon version where they're like 4 feet. 4 to 5 feet. Normally, I think typically in the comics they're 4 feet. So that's a good question. What size do we do them? I'll make them a little small. The whole point of being elite in that body and shell of theirs is that they're small. The size has so much to do with their ability to kick butt. And that is what I find so cool about the Tmnt, is that they can be agile in doing what they have to do because of their size. So, all right. Gotta get this done. Kind of give him kind of a weird look on his face, like what the heck? And I was like, "What are you impeding in my space?" And then he's over here, like, "Dude." Okay. So now that we have this layout, I can actually start. I can reformulate how Deadpool's body is gonna be into something else, which is we're gonna shift it over. Of course, if this was digital, so much more easier to erase and get back into. That's the reason why this process is so important when illustrating, because you have the ability to lightly erase and get back to the piece and just kind of move things around while keeping things super simple. See that? And then now I can actually play around with the gesture. I can move the torso. And then I can say, okay, cool, this is the torso over here. And just give these little, what do you call that? Right here. these little points, these ciphers to show you where you're going with the illustration. Shorthand is what you call it. There we go. So you give the shorthand here, and I'm trying to think at this point. I'm kind of just contemplating. Where am I going with it? You know, like, is this the actual piece? Can I have Deadpool do something different? And at this point, your imagination is where you have to kind of sit back for a bit and watch this. So on camera, I only have a limited amount of time. Normally, I would take a few minutes to kind of figure something out. But here I only have a few seconds. And of course, I can cut this up all together. But due to technical situations with memory cards, we have to be super fast with my camera. So let's say we have his hand here, right? In order to keep things clean, open that up. Maybe Deadpool is holding on the blade. He's unsheathing it. We can move this out a little bit more. As you can see, this is a labor of intensity when it comes to figuring out how to move things at a quicker pace. So this is exactly where you want to do things like that if you're trying to do a final piece, because of course the thumbs come from out in, so remember that. And trying to see maybe Mikey's nunchucks. Ooh, that could kind of, that's something there. Maybe we can have some fun with that. Find a good little dialogue for that. All right, so like, you know, it's like, what am I supposed to do with these? Which that's not the funny part. The funny part is, you know, kind of like, he's like, what the heck? Like, what am I gonna do with this? Which I don't find that funny either. Back to the grind. All right. So let's see. Maybe we'll have him holding it this way. And he has his hands over here. And the nunchucks here. Alright. You know what? Maybe this could be Mikey, and then I could do a series of them, and we can work that out. All right, that's not a bad idea. Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah, the epiphany. This is the moment where everything changes. Is where Deadpool is using Michelangelo's nunchucks while Michelangelo is using his katana blades. So that can be a thing. Sort of like Mikey saying, I've never handled these things before. Of course, the real funny part is the gesture in the face. You know, where Deadpool's like, huh? You know, one eyebrow up, while the other eye is kind of squinty. And he's taken aback. He's just like, what the heck? Am I gonna? It's like, what do I floss my ass with this? What do I do with this? Because he's not using the chain nunchucks, he's using the one with the string. I'll make him wearing, yeah, I'm gonna make Deadpool wearing the official TMNT turtle shell, and there's like these little straps that attach, and then he'll have like those little ninja stars and blades right here. Okay, so that'll be fun, and we'll attack that. And we'll jump on that. Cool. And then he has the official belt. Awesome. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do Michelangelo. And I don't want to do the standardized, just, you know, looking. I want to kind of just play around with the character's head shot and just kind of wonder. And you have his hand, his finger underneath his chin, just kind of like, what's this all about? Or maybe squinting like, I don't think this is for you. And we can do away with the katana blades. See that? So the idea changes as you progress in the layout. And this is the fun part. This is the part where you can spend countless hours if you want. I mean, I wouldn't recommend spending hours, but you can spend some time playing around with this portion of the illustration, because you can actually just really come up with ideas. You know, leave it like that, start a new piece, and then you can actually have several pieces, which is what I do. I'll sit down and I'll actually lay out maybe 4 to 5 pieces daily. I try not to do more than 5 because my brain hurts after that. Try to do about 5 pieces. If you're starting off, do 1 piece a day. Have fun with it. Understand, you know, where you're going with the whole thing, and then you can just elaborate little by little. Because if you rewind the video, you see where we started and now where it's at. So it's kind of fun to kind of revisit what I was thinking in the beginning to what's going to be towards the end. And then we have a piece and you can share it with the world. Alright, cool. So I think this is it. I think I have a good layout where Michelangelo has his finger here underneath his chin, kind of like looking down but kind of squinty. So he's like, that doesn't fit you, you know, or that does fit you. Who knows? They're trying to make him an honorary Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Honorary. And yes, I can say it fast. Honorary. See? Alright, awesome. So we have that. I like the bootleg shell. So we'll make this into a little series where we'll have each one with Deadpool. Have a lot of fun with that. And we're going on to the next stage, which is the tight pencils. We're gonna jump in and we are gonna do tightening of the lines. In order to tighten up the lines, this is normally what you would have, right? Let's say we have, this is just a mass of shapes. This isn't muscles. It just mimics muscles, right? So let's say, for example, you have stuff like this, right? And it's all sketchy and stuff. You have several choices to get to the next stage, and the next stage is line art, okay, or tight pencils. And what you can do is you can slightly erase a certain section. You can erase the whole thing. My advice is don't erase the entire thing, because sometimes you have so much intricate line art in there that you might forget exactly what you meant to put in there. So if you're drawing vines, if you're drawing electrical equipment, all that type of stuff causes an avalanche if you start to erase. And the avalanche is you forget what was in there to begin with, you know, so you don't want that to happen. So let's say you have your line art, or rather your sketch, or your chicken scratching is what you can also call it, or what it's also called, chicken scratch, when you go like that. It looks like it's a chicken scratching it. Now at this point you can either do really tight pencils, or you can do a really tight chicken scratch, which is just making sure that that line is as clean as possible, somewhat like in animation where they have to do cleanup. Now if your line art is super light like this, you can easily just go straight in. You don't have to erase, but you also have the option to erase at the end. For example, see, I'm done with that, and you see all that extra line work. I can easily come in with a kneaded eraser, or you can use your nice long eraser here. This is more messy. I'm not a big fan of using these on small areas because it's just too much mess. As you can see, all the little extra eraser. Or you can actually go ahead and use a nice dusty old electric eraser. Hey, it still works. Cool. So with that said, that's a quick tip technique on getting onto the next stage, which is line art. See you soon. All right, cool. So you got a little bit of the technique in the sense of going from the layout version to a line art version. That's exactly what I did here. So what I'm doing now is I'm tightening up the little pieces that are left to actually put it all together and make a cohesive sense out of it, because that's exactly what you want for a piece. So we're gonna jump straight in, and what I've done so far is I've done a tight little layout. I figured out where I want the elements to be. Now it's cleanup. This is where the eraser comes in, because it's gonna be super important for you to start focusing on where you need to erase to really have that focal point. And of course, the more you erase, the cleaner it's gonna look. But you don't want to spend that much time erasing. A lot of artists can go straight into inks at this stage because they're super confident as to what's gonna happen, and then they'll finish the project that much faster. Some of them will stumble and then it'll suck. Me, I enjoy what this piece is actually starting to look like, so I'm gonna take my time and focus on enjoying the lines coming together, so I can actually enjoy the inking process afterwards. So here, see, like right here, I kind of saw that I did something there, but not sure what I did, so I have to retrace my steps and know that this is the nunchuck over here. I'm gonna squeeze that over here, so then we're gonna have to move this line out down here. There we go, there we go, see that? So now I'll just lightly get onto the chest area. And then what I do is I tend to kind of lightly erase. I tend to get in there and just erase just enough so I can jump in and throw in those lines that I know I can tackle real fast. And imagine when you're doing that throughout the piece, or if you're drawing like a 10 character piece, it really starts to clean up super fast, and then you can get in there and start focusing on just the characters, and you don't have to worry about so much dirty lines, if you will. It's a dirty line. I'm not elaborating on that one. All right, so we're doing the buckles. I'm just trying to clean up this area because this is kind of an important zone to focus on, and you want to make sure that I use the brush to clean off any excess lead. Of course, it's not lead, but any excess pencil graphite. All right, cool. So we have this here, and I'm drawing or rather I'm hitting upon the roundness of his chest and his back. So the way you do that is you draw straight in just slightly, and that's how you can get that roundness, so it doesn't look like it's stiff or the lines don't work or come together in the right manner. So that's kind of a common mistake when it comes to the noobs illustrating, because they have no idea as to the shapes and what you can do with the shapes when you're actually doing round stuff. And it's a great practice. I'll touch upon that later and how you can practice that. It's one of those things where in the beginning when I was learning to illustrate, I wanted to just really focus on a lot of cool things, but didn't know how to go about it. Like under the neck shot, which that was such a pain to get. And I remember because I was watching Coach, the TV show, the sitcom Coach, back in the 90s, and I had my little sketch pad, and every time they would cut to a character, I tried to illustrate them real quick, and we're talking about like mid 90s. So that would get me to watch TV and at the same time learn how to illustrate human beings, because I was trying to learn how to draw, from no books, no nothing. I mean, you can draw from comic books if you want, but there's only so much you're gonna learn from comic books, you know, because I remember other people stating the fact that, oh, well, you know, you're gonna learn the anatomy all wrong, and for the most part, yeah, it's true. But nowadays, a lot of artists have like really tight anatomies that they illustrate, not them themselves. I mean, I don't know about that, but so they draw really, really, really well. I mean, there's a couple of artists. I don't really know their names, but I watch them I follow them on Instagram, and it's just so cool to see that they're at, you know, at such a really high caliber, and especially for when it comes to illustrative works like this, you can actually get a lot accomplished with just minimal lines and illustration. So not bad at all. All right, so I'm illustrating the shell, getting this line art really, really clean. All right, that looks good. All right, and then of course you can take the image, flip it in front of a mirror, and see what that looks like. If you're doing digital, you can flip the image, you can invert it around and see how that's coming out. So those are those little tips that you can still use, and that's still used today by millions and millions of illustrators. That statistic was brought to you by Steve Sanchez. We don't know where we get our statistics from, we just know we give it to you. This is that time of day where things start to slow down. This is where you say, yes, I see. All right, so we're gonna jump in here. I just thought this was really fun to have Deadpool have a little outfit of the TMNT of the shell, and have it all come together like the TMNT characters are gonna be like, no, that doesn't seem right. Now, come into a bit of an impasse over here. This happens every so often, where when you look at the chest, I'm super anal when it comes to this. When you look at the chest and you see the amount of space given on one side compared to the other side, sometimes I don't get this till later, but then I double check and I know that, okay, this has to have about at least an amount of that amount in there, and I have to flip this in here in order to make all this connect, because you see, now that connects perfectly. So be mindful when it comes to things like this, because it'll save you in the long run. Because when you're done with a piece and it's like, okay, it's all colored, it's all done, it's like, something bugs me. I'm like, yep. And then you're like, yep, there it is. That's what's bugging me. Those chest straps, or those straps that the character wears, or you're drawing a book bag or something, and the straps just look all completely discombobulated, and it just doesn't work. So you want to stay really, really focused on those tiny details, because that's exactly what makes the piece or can break the piece. Everything else depends on style, so you don't want to just, you know, say, oh, well, that's a stylized choice. That's not a stylized choice. That is a flub. Be careful with flubs, okay? Because I did make it a little bit thick here, but since we don't know the thickness of this side because it's bending, this side here is okay. You see, it matches. Like if I wanted to just kind of like maybe slightly bend it in and out, then that becomes more of a design on how the straps look, and then they'll bend in like that. You see that? And this is where you spend your time. This is, you don't try to do it super fast and try to get the lines done. That's the reason why a lot of illustrators, they have very stiff artwork, is because they're trying to draw so fast. Don't draw fast. Take your time. You're not going anywhere. The piece is not going anywhere. Take your time. If you draw fast by nature, that's great. But if you look at your stuff at the end and you're like, man, I still need to work. You know, because I've seen illustrators, they'll illustrate tons and tons of images in a day. And it's like, are you happy with at least 90% of that stuff? If you're not, then you know that there's a problem. The problem is you're drawing too fast. Take it down a notch. Sorry, I get a little adamant about these things. So, don't sue me. It's a broke moving on. All right, cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump in here, finalize the rest of these lines, and then we'll come back and we will show off the final tighter layout piece, and then I can go straight into inks. All right, stay tuned. So we're back with a more tighter, cleaner layout. I will start the inking process technically right at this moment because, well, that's the beauty of it. We can. A lot of this stuff is still a little bit open, but as I finish the inking and the cleanup, I get to see it a little bit more in the final stages where I can start hammering out this part, sort of like you're chiseling away at the bad pieces when doing the sculpture, and then just polishing it off bit by bit. So let's get straight to the inks. All right, so over here we have a nice little ink set. Boom. And of course the case I picked up at Amazon. I don't know the name of the case. I know I'm gonna get questions on that, so there it is at a time. The case can be picked up on Amazon. Just type in pencil case, and it's just this little dual thing. And this is where I keep all my Copic multi-liners, some of the best inking pens I've used. Then we're gonna start selecting the sizes that we need for the piece. And of course, you can pick up this equipment and many other equipments over at, you guessed it, otakufuel.com. Right there, Otakufuel. All right, so just like a doctor, I have to select my special tool of cutlery. We're gonna go with a nice, I like a nice 3. Yay! Get a nice 3 in the All right, so I'm gonna use a point, or rather a 0.3 Copic. I never put the caps at the back end because these are refillable. That's right, they're refillable. That's how delicious it is. All right, they're refillable, and we have the ruler. And for this, I will use a ruler, a dusty ruler. I'm going to mark where I have the beginning of that one and that one. That way we get this out of the way. And slightly go a hair up. Okay, that one, that's fine. That's fine. All right, cool. So we're all set with that. That's already locked in. We're not designing anything else different. So now what we do is we start cleaning it up, and I start looking at the piece, mesmerized by it, and then we jump straight in. Okay, so we're good with this. I know that I'm gonna add a couple of cracks and bits and pieces that are missing from his gear, from Deadpool's backpack gear. So I'm gonna chip away at it. Of course, make sure that you have a beautiful filled ink pen for you to use, because it would be a damn shame for it not to work. Okay, so that's gonna be in a darker tone in here. I'm trying to put like a little bit of his spin of his logo. It's not really a logo, it's just kind of his outfit markings onto the straps. And then here I just love to kind of sketch ink, and the sketch inking gives me more of a, and I'll just mark that black, gives it more of a freedom, you know, kind of a little bit of a license to screw up, if you will. Like, oh, that doesn't look great. Oh well, it's a sketch ink, it doesn't matter. That's just my technique. All right, cool. So we have that set up, and we'll jump in here. like to take it back, make sure I look at a piece before I commit to throwing down 10,000 lines. So the inking process takes a little bit of time because you don't want to just flub it by throwing tons of stuff. And in here I left this open enough that I can fix it with pencil. It's just not ready yet. And then I'll just jump down here. And I'll just keep working the area. Now the inking is done in any kind of style that you want to go ahead and do. I have more of an approach where I kind of just draw the line in 1 or 2 thin lines, and they come out somewhat scratchy and kind of segmented. You don't have to ink that way, of course. It's just how I do it. There's many styles, and that's the beauty of it, is you can go slow, you can go fast, you can, as long as you get that line that you're looking for, you're gonna be just fine. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point. It's just you being happy with that piece and not feeling like, oh well, I have to appease somebody because they like it like this or whatnot, you know. This way you get the piece done the way you want it, not have to worry about somebody else liking your work in a certain particular way, because it don't matter. At the end, it's all about you. Alright, so then I'll black that out later, and then that'll start getting a little bit of life. And we'll come in here and jump in and get that, because that's the same side. Same thing I did over here on this side. Yeah. It doesn't have to be beautiful, it just has to be. When it comes to things like this, I tend to throw a couple of lines down because it gives it a little bit more character and it looks like a little backpack strap. And then you add a little bit of darkness at the bottom here because it is a shadow. And it's not it's a deep shadow, but it's a deep shadow in the edge, the rimming of it. So keep that in mind when you're doing line art, because you give it a little bit more life when it looks somewhat realistic. You know, even if it's a cartoon, you're gonna have those moments where it's gotta look realistic, because that's what sells it. You know. So that's the straps, and then of course I'm gonna round about over here because I didn't do this with a pencil. Just be very mindful of the line art when illustrating. And of course, I know you guys aren't drawing the same image that I have here, but these are pointers that go for anything. So you want to make sure that you actually pay attention to what you're doing, because it's gonna save your butt one day when you're doing a project. And I don't want to hear, oh well, you know, you didn't teach me that. What the hell? Why do you sound like a car alarm? Cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. We're gonna get a lot of videos going, and by we I mean me. I am definitely gonna enjoy talking about certain aspects of art and even stuff that I hear on the internet, on the interweb, and we can actually converse later down the line. Probably take some questions and post that up in my other future videos, which will be real neat to. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it don't matter because it did. train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Ugh. All right, so we have that set. And what I like to do is just kind of thicken up the lines on the outskirts because it starts to separate the inside from the outside. Just a little bit. There's techniques on this too. You can just do the edging, or you can actually do a nice thicker rim around the entire character, which is a nice cool technique. I call it the Flintstone technique because in the Flintstones you tend to see that style. But there's this big bold line around. Around the character. Alright, there's his chesticles. And then we'll just come in here and just add some detail. I love cross-hatching. It's just one of my most favorite details when I got into comics back in the 90s. Back in my day, there was this little thing called paper. You whippersnappers all draw on your telescreen. That's right, Grandpa. We all have Surfaces and iPads. Screw your ancient ways. Freaking meteor hits the earth. Lights go out. Who's laughing now, you little bastards? Alright, and that's what happens when there's no music in the background and just me and my thoughts. Ha. Yeah, you guys are gonna be privy to a lot of my insanity. Like if I'm not talking artwork, which 99.9% of the day I'm not, and it's all just me in my head, it's just the insane crap that just flows in there, like literally like an overflowed toilet, and I just let it all hang out, man. And you guys are gonna be front row seats to that extravaganza, huh? That guy right there knows what I'm talking about. All right, cool. So we have this set up. I'm trying to make sure that my top camera here is somewhat centered. There we go. Very good and very nice. All right, so we have all of that. I think he has like a little knuckle. It doesn't matter. I tend to redesign characters in my own fashion as I see fit. People get anal. Like, no, I want to know exactly what they. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna draw whatever I want. Does it look like Deadpool? Yeah, then shut up. You see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm trying not to lose it, but I tend to lose it. You know, it's just I forget the cameras are there. I forget that there's a time frame that I have to maintain before I gotta dump the card, and I completely apologize for this and future videos. Because you're going to see the real me, little Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Focus. 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 This is going to be really fun to edit. Alright. Although I know I can actually do these videos in segmented days, and that would be so much more easier to do. Alright, let me jump on this real quick. What I'm doing right here is I'm kind of just free flowing. I got a general idea of what his hand looks like, so I don't really need to add too much detail work into it. But I want to take my time and making sure that the angles are looking tight. You know, that if I throw a thread in here for the stitching, it's in there, and these little metal clips right there, because I think he wears like some type of black on red strap type stuff, so whatevs. All right, So at this point, a lot of people can lose it and they just start like sketching real quick and getting those lines to try to get it done. The first thing when I feel that I need to hurry up, the first thing I tell myself is stop, take your time, get it right. All right, that's my little mental mantra, because if you don't stop yourself when you need to, your brain kind of takes over your hand, and then you just start going nuts on what you're doing, and it's like at the end you're like, what did I do? And it becomes that what did I do moment. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna continue inking all of this. As you can see, it's pretty much the same thing all over the place. See you guys soon.